Hello students, today I shall continue with the second generation or atypical antipsychotic drugs, that is the newer form of treatment for schizophrenia, safe and effective drug. Now we proceed on to the second generation agents which are said to be the ideal mood stabilizers and which are said to, most of these agents, they do not produce extra pyramidal syndrome, uh, which is the classical side effect of these typical antipsychotics, except the aripiprazole, which also causes EPS, similar to chlorpromazine. Clozapine is the first atypical antipsychotic. It's multi-acting receptor targeted antipsychotic known as MARTA nowadays. The drug has weak D2 or dopaminergic receptor of type 2 blocking or antagonistic action, but selective for D4 receptors. Now, this was the first drug which acted upon dopaminergic receptors other than D2. It also acts on the 5-HT2 and alpha adrenergic receptors as blocker. It has moderately potent anticholinergic, but despite being anticholinergic, it leads to occurrence of paradoxical hypersalivation. Otherwise, the anticholinergics, they lead to development of dryness of mouth, and it has H1 blocking action also. So you can see this acts on the D2 receptors, D4 receptors, 5-HT2, alpha adrenergic, anticholinergic, and H1. So 6 different types of receptors are being acted upon by the single agent, that is clozapine. So that is why this is known as the multi-acting receptor targeted antipsychotics. The future development of drugs is taking place in this direction, and nowadays they are labeled as third generation antipsychotic agents. Now, the clozapine activates CYP1A2. So, because it activates CYP1A2, those who are smokers, those who are alcoholics, those who are on barbecued meats, those who are on high dose of chocolates, these patients' dose of clozapine need to be increased because the enzyme system, gets stimulated or enhanced, and which leads to the destruction of the drug or the drug's biotransformation takes place. The beauty of the drug was, in addition to improving the positive symptoms, the negative symptoms like loss of memory, like social withdrawal, uh, these symptoms also improved in patients of schizophrenia. That is why the prescription level of clozapine suddenly increased as soon as drug came into the market. But for a caveat, this drug is used only as a reserve drug in refractory schizophrenia, not in routine. In routine, we start with the drugs like chlorpromazine or the haloperidol type of drugs or trifluopyrazine type of drugs amongst the classical drugs. So the drug was a revolutionary advancement in the field of psychosis because both positive and negative symptoms they improved, whereas the typical antipsychotics improved only positive symptoms. Clozapine produced agranulocytosis as a side effect and certain other blood dyscrasias. Sometimes it caused pancytopenia. So once clozapine produces agranulocytosis, you know, withdraw the agent abruptly. Uh, Once you withdraw, rebound psychosis occurs. So continuing treatment is not possible. Withdrawing treatment leads to rebound psychosis. Henceforth, immediate replacement is required. In addition to agranulocytosis, drugs leads to weight gain, increased level of triglycerides, hyperlipidemias, precipitation of diabetes. This is all similar to the occurrence of side effects with the classical or the typical antipsychotics like chlorpromazine. High dose can induce seizures even in non-epileptics, sedation, unstable blood pressure, hypersalivation, tachycardia, urinary incontinence, blurring of vision, and severe constipation. So severe constipation which could prove to be fatal because of the uh, intestinal ischemia which can occur as a result of chronic use of the drug clozapine. Myocarditis, a few cases have been reported which may progress to fatal condition. Pulmonary embolism. Now here thromboprophylaxis is required as a preventive therapy for venous thromboembolism. So in all standard cases, the first 6 months of therapy of clozapine, if there is no agranulocytosis and we continue with the treatment, the thromboprophylaxis is required to prevent the occurrence of venous thromboembolism. Olanzapine, once discovered, was said to be the ideal mood stabilizer in these patients. It's a drug which is known as multi-acting receptor targeted antagonist or antipsychotic. The after the appearance of first Barta, that is clozapine, the next derivative of clozapine was olanzapine. Now this olanzapine has very high affinity for D2 receptors, 5-HT2 receptors, alpha 1 receptor, alpha 2 receptors, muscarinic receptors, and H1 receptors. So you can see the drug is acting on 6 different subtypes of receptors. And by virtue of its action on D2 and 5-HT2 receptors, it improves both positive and both negative symptoms of similar to olanzapine. Similar to clozapine. It's used in schizoaffective disorders and mania. In mania, this is said to be the ideal mood stabilizer. Side effects: dry mouth, constipation, extrapyramidal symptoms, but to a lesser extent, and is said to be more epileptogenic as compared to clozapine, which does not change the seizure threshold. Weight gain impairs glucose tolerance, worsens diabetes, elevates serum triglycerides, and leads to development of hypertriglyceridemias. So henceforth, due to these actions, not only diabetes is worsened, but in the elderly patients, the incidence of stroke is increased because of deleterious profile effect on the lipid metabolism. Risperidone, out of the drugs available to us in the atypical antipsychotics, when the drug appeared after clozapine, risperidone was the most frequently and most commonly used antipsychotic because it was safe and highly efficacious drug. Now, why it replaced clozapine at the outset? That risperidone was more potent at D2 as blocker than clozapine, where clozapine acted more on the D4. 5-HT2 receptor blocker. So two prominent actions, both systems which leads to development of psychosis, pathophysiological psychology, that is dopaminergic and tryptaminergic system, both are affected. It has high affinity for alpha 1, alpha 2, and H1 receptor as a blocker. Postural hypotension occurs, blood pressure rises if given with selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. That is, a patient of psychosis along with depression is there, then if you use SSRIs, the blood pressure increases in spite of postural hypotension. This is nowadays first line drug in schizophrenia. As soon as there is a diagnosis of schizophrenia in the OPD, the doctor prescribes Respiral or Risperidone tablets. Side effects are agitation. Prolactin levels rise disproportionately, but it is less epileptogenic, it is less uh, causing weight gain drug, its incidence of diabetes mellitus is lesser as compared to clozapine. Now the reasons, these three major reasons, and its activity on the D2 receptors, which makes it efficacious and safe as compared to risperidone. Extrapyramidal side effects are less, but they are observed, but only at low doses. As you increase the dose by dose up titration, which is always carried out in patients of psychosis, uh, the caution is similar to olanzapine, that there is increased risk of stroke in the elderly patients. Palperidone, absolutely a newer drug, but now we know that it is a major active metabolite of risperidone, possessing receptor blocking properties at D2, alpha 1, alpha 2, and H1. In addition to its property of blocking the four different subtype of receptors in three different systems, it is an agonist also. That is, the other drugs, they were D2 blocker and 5-HT2A blocker. This drug is a 5-HT2A agonist. Now, due to this agonism as a 5-HT2A receptors, the drug produces lesser EPS. Why? Because it is rapidly dissociated from the receptors as compared to risperidone. Adverse effects, headache, insomnia, and somnolence. Mind you, in some patients it causes loss of sleep, in some patients it induces sleep. Orthostatic hypotension. The drugs are used in different doses. Always the doses are built up: 1.5 milligram, 3 milligram, 6 milligram, 9 milligram, and extended release preparations are used in patient by building up dose, twice in a week or thrice in a week. Then the drug has long-acting injections. These are known as longer-acting antipsychotic drug. Half-life is long, 23 hours, and steady state concentration is achieved in 4 to 5 days. Palperidone palmitate is a newer injection of palperidone which is given once in a month. So it is an advancement over the availability of flupentixol and fluphenazine as weekly or bi-weekly injections to once monthly injection. Quetiapine, again, an ideal mood stabilizer. It's a multi-acting receptor targeted antipsychotic, blocks 5-HT1A, 5-HT2, D2 in low doses, alpha 1, alpha 2, and H1 receptors. So, not only 5-HT2, D2, it also blocks 5-HT1A. So, another receptor comes into the picture, alpha 2. It's a short-acting drug, requires twice daily dosing. Side effects are sedation, major dose given at night, postural hypotension, especially during dose titration, urinary retention, incontinence, moderate rise in weight gain, and blood sugar. In high dose, QT prolongation occurs and cardiac arrhythmias occurs. Quetiapine is efficacious in the acute mania, bipolar depression, so selected frequently for maintenance therapy. It's metabolized by CYP3A4, interact with macrolides, antifungals, and anticonvulsants. Acinapine is absolutely a newer drug. It's a multi-acting receptor-targeted antipsychotic, atypical third-generation antipsychotic. Now it blocks 5-HT1A, 5-HT1B, 5-HT2A, 5-HT2B, 5-HT2C, and 5-HT5 to 7. So it acts on 6-7 different types of subtypes of hydroxytryptamine receptors. Asinapine also blocks D1 and D4 receptors. It blocks alpha 1, alpha 2, H1, and H2. So we can say ultimately this is a drug which is acting on approximately 11-12 subtypes of different types of receptors in the brain. Adverse effects are sedation, dizziness, somnolence, fatigue, dry mouth, and weight gain. Amongst the extrapyramidal symptoms, this can produce dystonia, akathisia, Parkinsonism, and dyskinesia. All possible side effects seen with the classical and a few atypical drugs. But the severity and incidence of APS by asinapine is quite less. And this is the first sublingual drug available for treatment of psychosis. That is, the tablets of 5 and 10 milligrams can be given sublingually. Ziprasidone is a drug almost similar to risperidone, but it acts on a few different receptors. That is, it not only blocks G2 receptors, it also blocks 5-HT2A2C receptors, H1 receptors, and alpha 1 receptors. It is antagonistic at 5-HT1D receptor and agonist at 5-HT1A receptor. So this is the first drug which is not acting as blocker of the 5-HT system, but it is used as an agonist on the 5-HT1A receptors. Now, this is moderately potent inhibitor of 5-HT and norepinephrine, reuptake inhibitor. By virtue of these two characteristics, it's not only anxiolytic, but it is also antidepressant activity. It causes nausea, vomiting, dose-related QT prolongation leading to serious cardiac arrhythmias. Half-life is 8 hours, needs twice daily dosing, and clinical uses. Ziprasidone is prescribed for the treatment of chronic schizophrenia and patients of mania. Lurasidone. Now the drug is similar to palperidine. This blocks D2 receptors, 5-HT2A receptors, and 5-HT7 receptors. But along with blocking the receptors of 5-HT types, it also is a partial agonist at 5-HT1 receptors and agonist at alpha 2C receptors. So now this is a different drug than other drugs because it is acting on the 5-HT7 receptors as blocker and 5-HT1A as partial agonist. The first drug in the antipsychotics which is having a partial agonistic activity at 5-HT1 receptor. Adverse effects are worsening of schizophrenia is one of the most prominent side effects, development of akathisia, psychotic disorders, dystonia, agitation, nausea, vomiting, dyspepsia, somnolence, dizziness, insomnia, agitation, anxiety. Now, in spite of its activity at 7 different types of subreceptors, it exhibits a variety of lot of adverse drug reactions in the CNS and in the GIT. Weight gain, sedation, QTC prolongation, and orthostatic hypotension. So all these subsets of adverse effects together, they make it unfit to be used in most of the cases. In addition to the acute side effects which have been mentioned just now, the drug also, lurasidone also leads to development of long-term adverse effects, that is after use of weeks or months. Involuntary movement disorders, gynecomastia, impotence, weight gain, and metabolic syndrome. So henceforth, the drug has not been put to much clinical use. Amisulpiride has high affinity for D2 and D3 receptors. The first drug available to us acting through D3 receptors also. And it has low affinity for 5-HT2 receptors. It has few extrapyramidal side effects but improves many negative symptoms of schizophrenia. This is one advantage. However, the side effects in the form of hyperprolactinemia, insomnia, anxiety, agitation, weight gain, metabolic complications, QOD prolongation, especially in the predisposed elderly patients, make it more prone to develop stroke. Iloperidone. The newest available agent is iloperidone to us. It has very high efficacy, blocks 5-HT2 receptors, alpha 1 receptors, and alpha 2C receptors, along with blocking D2 and D3 receptors. So it's devoid of the activity at the muscarinic receptors, at the histaminergic receptors, and improves both positive and negative symptoms. Adverse effects: dizziness, dry mouth, somnolence, QOD prolongation, orthostatic hypotension. Now, the drug iloperidone always requires dose titration, which is changed twice in a week. To begin with, 1 to 2 milligram is started. 1 milligram, 2 milligram, 4 milligram, 6 milligram, 8 milligram, 10 milligram, and 12 milligram. So 2 milligram almost is increased every second or third day. And the target dose achieved should be 12 to 24 milligram per day total. So upward dose titration is required. Aripiprazole. Now aripiprazole and brenspiprazole, the newest drug, now have been categorized, in the MARTA or the third generation. It's a partial agonist at D2 and 5-HT1 receptors, but it is antagonistic at 5-HT2 receptors. It's a long-acting drug. Dose adjustments are required after 2 weeks of period. Metabolized by two different isoforms of CYP system, that is CYP3A4 and CYP2D6. So, whenever the drugs like ketoconazole antifungal and carbamazepine, these drugs are, drugs like azithromycin are used with CYP3A4 and CYP2D6 systems, the doses needs to be changed accordingly. Aripiprazole, Laroxil is available for injection also. Injections are of two types. One injection is once in a month, and the latest introduction is one injection is once in 6 weeks. So this is improvement over the availability of classical antipsychotics like flupentixol and fluphenazine, where we used to give injection once weekly or twice weekly. Now we give it once in a month or once in 6 weeks. Aripiprazole monohydrate is given once monthly as a form of intramuscular depot injections. Now the drug is widely used in treatment of chronic schizophrenia with positive and negative symptoms. It improves both. It's an augmenting agent in resistant depression. When a patient of depression is not controlled on two different set of drugs given simultaneously, the third add-on drug is the aripiprazole. It's also a maintenance drug in bipolar disorder. The side effects are few: prolonged QT interval in high doses only, dyspepsia and constipation are caused. So a safe and efficacious alternative. The newest drug in this category of drugs, that is third generation, is this is called as third generation typical antipsychotic, brexpiprazole. It's a novel agent, unique, having activity on D2 receptors and 5-HT1A receptor only. And it has got partial agonistic activity. So this drug is also called serotonin dopamine activity modulator. that is SDAM. So it's a newer term. Along with the agonistic action on the D2 and 5-HT1A, brexpiprazole possesses activity on the antagonist on the 5-HT2A receptors, alpha-1B receptor, and alpha-2C receptors. So clinical use is chronic schizophrenia and adjunctive treatment as a add-on drug for major depressive disorder which is resistant to two drugs. It leads to weight gain, akathisia, somnolence, tremors, and nasopharyngitis as a side effect. Mind you, neonates are at risk for extrapyramidal and or withdrawal symptoms if exposed during the third trimester of development to the pregnant mothers. Now, nowadays, a term that is because of the poor compliance of these drugs and patients developing resistance to the drugs and patients not complying with the drugs. Long-acting injectable antipsychotics have appeared. A few drugs belong to the typical antipsychotics available since long, like fluphenazine given every 2 to 3 weeks, intramuscular depot injections, haloperidol given 3 to 4 weeks, olanzapine palmoate once monthly injection. Now this olanzapine palmoate given once monthly, this causes delirium, sedation syndrome within 1 hour. So once you give the injection, patient has to be observed for a minimum of 3 hours after the injection is given. Pilperidone, a newer drug, is given 4 times in a year, that is 3 monthly injection. Nowadays, the more importantly used drug in those patients who are poorly compliant patients. Or pilperidone is available once monthly injection also. Risperidone microspheres injections are available, which are given every 2 weeks. Flupentixol is given 2 to 4 weeks. It's a very old drug, typical antipsychotic. And zuclopentixol every 1 to 4 weeks. So these drugs, which are newer drugs like pilperidone and risperidone microspheres, these drugs are nowadays more commonly used in place of haloperidol and olanzapine. Lumateperone, this is the first type of its own atypical antipsychotic approved by FDA in December 2019. Now this lumateperone interacts with dopamine, serotonin, and glutamate in a uniquely complex manner. Thank you so much.